Hey everyone, it's Alexander, the real Mr. Robinson. Welcome to the channel. This is my review for Eternals, which is the 26th Marvel Cinematic Universe film. And if you count WandaVision, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, Loki, and What If, this is the 30th project that Marvel Studios has created. And we don't count the ABC or Netflix stuff, so we're just talking about Marvel Studios specifically. Anyway, this movie is directed by Chloé Zhao, who directed the Best Picture winner from last year, Nomadland, and it follows the Eternals, a race of beings who arrived on Earth 7,000 years ago to protect Earth from the Deviants. However, they were instructed by their higher-ups to not interfere with any other human conflicts unless deviants were involved. So the Eternals have pretty much been living their lives on Earth, and this has been going on for 7,000 years. However, they soon need to take action once again and pretty much bring the band back together after the events of Avengers Endgame, because the blip, which brought half the universe back, signaled the start of another event called the Emergence. And soon the Eternals will have to find themselves fighting off deviants once again, but also something far more dangerous and cosmic. Now, I gotta be honest, as big as an MCU fan as I am, I was a little hesitant about Eternals. I mean, Marvel has had such a great track record that I'd be willing to let them do anything that they wanted because I give them that much trust. But the trailers for Eternals never really impressed me, especially the final trailer with that awful IKEA joke. Like, every time I see that trailer in a theater and that IKEA joke plays, I just kind of roll my eyes. And another reason why I wasn't too excited for Eternals was because of Nomadland. I know it won Best Picture, I know Chloé Zhao won Best Director for it, but I just wasn't a huge fan of that movie. It's not bad, but my problem comes more from a personal standpoint, which might not seem fair, but it's a movie that I personally can't relate to, and it's one that I don't need to rewatch until I'm in my 60s or 70s. So it's not a bad movie, and I can see why it won Best Picture, and I can clearly see why Chloé Zhao won Best Director for it, but I just didn't care for the movie myself. And then the reviews started coming out. I unfortunately didn't get a chance to see the movie early, but the movie has had the unique distinction of being the very first rotten project that Marvel Studios has produced on Rotten Tomatoes. And of course, because the internet doesn't understand how Rotten Tomatoes functions, they made a huge deal out of it. So again, I was nervous going into Eternals to the point where I just really didn't want to see it. And then I saw it and it was pretty good. Yeah, I actually found myself surprised, and maybe it was because my expectations weren't sky high with something like Shang-Chi. I just found Eternals to be really good, has a lot of traits that you'd expect from Marvel, but also it feels different from a lot of other Marvel projects. Now, I can see why some of my colleagues have had issues with this movie, because there are a few problems with its script. Half the cast doesn't get a whole lot to do. We don't get a whole lot of time with most of the characters. The movie is mostly focused on the character of Sersi, played by Gemma Chan, who was in Captain Marvel as a Kree soldier. And it mostly involves her relationship with living on Earth this whole time, and how she feels about the Emergence, and also with her relationship with another Eternal, Ikaris, played by Richard Madden from Game of Thrones. I would say those two get the most focus. The third most important character of the movie is probably Sprite, played by Lia McHugh, and there's some questionable decisions that they do with this character, some motivations with her, and even Ikaris that kind of come out of nowhere. And then Kingo, played by Kumail Nanjiani, is mostly there for the comic relief, but I thought his jokes were funny. I made an argument that Falcon and the Winter Soldier was probably the most serious in terms of Marvel Cinematic Universe movies or shows. Eternals is a close second because there's not a whole lot of humor in this movie. Which, on one hand, they're very good at it, except for that IKEA joke, but on the other hand, it's kind of a nice breath of fresh air to get not a whole lot of emphasis on humor. And then Brian Tyree Henry's Phastos is another character that we get to know a lot about. So I'd say those five are the main highlights. Everyone else just seems like they're kind of there, which is disappointing because you have people like Salma Hayek, who plays Ajak, and then you have Angelina Jolie as Thena. There's a subplot involving her character that really came in and out whenever it was convenient for the plot itself. It's almost like the movie at points was like, okay, we need to have some sort of conflict, and we need to give something for Angelina Jolie to do, because she ultimately doesn't have a whole lot to do in this movie. And like I said before, there are a few character motivations that seem to come out of nowhere and feel like they're there just to give us a twist in the movie's plot. But those are really the only complaints that I have. They sound like major complaints, and they kinda are, but I think the rest of the movie is very well done. It's one of the best looking of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, not just in terms of its cinematography, but also most of the visual effects are fantastic. Some of the action is a little shoddy in terms of editing, but I thought it looked amazing. I've heard some people criticize the movie's plot for being too convoluted or being too stuck up its own ass, and I guess I saw a different movie because the plot was very much a we gotta save the world plot. It's typical for a comic book movie, but it works. The movie starts out as a little messy in terms of its structure, but as it plays out and you get the full picture, I think it's very easy to understand. There's nothing complicated about this plot at all, especially if you're aware of and know the history of a certain alien race that pops up in this movie that we got a brief glimpse of in Guardians of the Galaxy. Now, I know my biggest criticism of the movie was the fact that some characters didn't get a whole lot to do, but for me, one of the best aspects about the movie were most of the character interactions. I love how this movie takes these godlike figures and humanizes them. It's something that Zack Snyder never really attempted to do in his DC movies, and I liked his cut of Justice League, but there were just points in those movies where these characters didn't really feel like people. They just felt more like gods or just plain old superheroes. In this movie, the Eternals are portrayed as gods, and they did a fantastic job at humanizing them, especially with Cersei, because again, she's the main focus of the movie and you mainly follow her story. So I felt like there was a lot of great character work for the characters that actually got stuff to do. And also, for a movie that's over 2.5 hours long, I never really felt the length. And this was another aspect that I was dreading because it's a movie that I'm not too excited for. It's over 2.5 hours long. This is not going to be fun, but I never felt the length. I thought the movie moved at a great pace. But that being said, I think this may have worked a little better if it was a Disney Plus series. And I get that with a concept like the Eternals, considering how much it leans in the cosmic side of the Marvel Universe, you need a big, grand cinematic scope for this type of story. But I feel like if they did a Disney Plus miniseries, we could have fleshed out all the characters even more. And then when we get to a sequel, we can actually make it a movie, but that's just me and my headcanon. Though I do think making this a miniseries may have helped, rather than it just being a 2.5 hour long movie. But that being said, for being a 2.5 hour long movie that I was kind of nervous about seeing, it surprised me. It's not one of my favorite Marvel movies, but I don't think it's the worst. It is nowhere near among the worst. In fact, I'll tell you right now the Marvel movies that I think are worse than Eternals. And if you know me, when I say worst, I mean weakest, because really there's only one, maybe two Marvel movies that I'm not a big fan of. And those movies would be, from bottom to top, Thor: The Dark World, Iron Man 2, Thor, The Incredible Hulk, Ant-Man, Ant-Man and the Wasp, Black Widow, and Spider-Man Far From Home. So yeah, Eternals may be at the bottom half of my list of Marvel movies and TV shows, but at the end of the day, I still think it's a good movie. I think people are overreacting to this movie as if it were one of the worst movies of the year, which no, it's not even close. I can see how some people are disappointed with it, but I really dug it. It's not great, and again, I think there's a lot in this movie that could have been improved, but I can't wait to see it again. Will I see it in theaters again? I'm not sure because I don't know if I have the time, but I would advise this. If you plan on going to see this movie in IMAX, just be warned that during some of the action scenes, the aspect ratios will change constantly during one scene. So that might get irritating. You might be better off just watching it in a regular theater. You'll still get a great cinematic scope from it, and you won't have to worry about seeing those bars go boop, 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 repeatedly. It's not as bad as what I've seen from Transformers: The Last Knight, but it did get a little annoying. But at the end of the day, I thought Eternals was pretty good. And there you go, that's my review for Eternals. And now I want to know what you guys think about the movie. If you've seen it, what did you think? Do you think this is truly the worst movie in the Marvel Cinematic Universe? Or are you like me, where you think people are just overreacting for no real reason at all? Whatever the case may be, let me know in the comments below. And until next time, this is the real Mr. Robinson telling you there is only one. Hello everyone, I just wanted to say thank you all for watching my review for Eternals. Make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell button to get notifications. Don't forget to follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, go check out my Twitch channel, and support me on Patreon. I'll see you guys in the next video, but until then, have a good day and take care of yourselves.